Thank you so much for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. 49ers minicamp is officially underway. A lot of takeaways coming from that. Trey Lance had a good day today, throwing for 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, the lone interception on a drop pass from Brandon Ayuk. Kyle Shanahan saying after practice that he thought Trey Lance did a really good job in red zone, 7-on-7. Obviously, when there's not a running game throughout red zone drills, everything gets condensed. So the job is even harder for a quarterback, but Trey Lance was able to do well in that. Also, Deebo Samuel did report to 49ers minicamp amidst all of these trade rumors, this trade speculation, him wanting a new contract. Kyle Shanahan saying the 49ers want to sign him to a contract extension. He said the same about Nick Bosa. He wants 2 of the franchise pillars to be a part of this franchise for the long haul. And because of that, and because of the 49ers organizational thinking, I do think that San Francisco wants to pay Deebo Samuel. They want to pay Nick Bosa. When John Lynch said after the year, money has been budgeted for both of those players, I thought he was genuine. I thought he meant it. And I think the same members of that historic draft class are going to be with this franchise for a really long time. People are getting that notification. They're starting to pile in. 21 people watching live, 10 likes. Make sure you hit that thumbs up icon if you're excited about the Niners, if you're excited about Trey Lance, and you're enjoying the 49ers Report. I see BK from the Bay is here. Mr. Len 40, what's good, sir? What it do? Timmy Free, me, what's up, gang, from Draco Pimpin'. What it do, Draco? If you're excited about the Niners, I want you to type 49. Football is right around the corner. Training camp is going to be here before we know it at some point in July. Training camp dates have not officially been released, but look, we're here in June. I can't believe that we're 6 months into the year already. Training camp starts next month, and then the regular season right after that as these preseason games get underway. So type 49, and I'll give you some shout-outs right now. Niners, Giants, Warriors all day, typing LOL. Well, you must be a San Francisco fan because you have all the teams in the bio name. Draco Pimpin' 49, Timmy Free, Lyman the Realist, BK from the Bay, Justin Carter. So excited for this year. 4-9. 49ers Lakers for life getting in there as well. Morky, Draco Pimpin', you heard about Danny Gray. Danny Gray did tweak his hamstring, everybody. So Kyle Shanahan saying after practice he's going to be out this week. He's also probably going to be out next week, and that's why he was not practicing when the media was on hand at OTAs last week. Philippe, 49. Chua Lore back in the house. Chua Lore has been tuned into our NBA Finals watch parties as well. More than 1 million people have joined us throughout Game 1 and 2. Shout out to Chua and everybody else for joining us throughout our watch parties. If you had to pay one, I'm going to challenge you with this question. You can only pay one superstar. This is also our poll question. Who are you paying? Is it Deebo Samuel, type 19? Is it Nick Bosa, type 97? Let me know. I'll give you some more shout-outs. Official start of the show coming up here in just about 5 minutes or so. On our live poll, here are the results on 61 votes. If you had to pay only one player, 76% Nick Bosa, 24% Deebo Samuel. I think it's harder to find elite pass rushers as compared to wide receivers, so I actually side with the audience. I'm just surprised that it's so skewed like that. Alex going with Bosa. Juan Martinez is in the house. Johnny Robinson is here. Mr. Len, Bosa. BK from the Bay, Bosa. Alex going with Nick Bosa. Mr. J, the Baron Nick Bosa. No Deebo Samuels yet. 49ers Lakers for life, typing a 9-7. Morky, the first person to submit a 1-9-19 for Deebo. Johnny Robinson also going with Nick Bosa as well. So the comment section looking a lot like our live poll. We're going to be going live for another podcast on Call-In after our show airs live on YouTube as well as Rumble. Make sure you join me as we get it kicked off around 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. As soon as our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up, we're going to be going live on Call-In. I'm going to predict all 53 roster spots for an all-too-early 49ers roster projection. Going to be doing that live solely on Call-In. Then I'll be answering your calls as well. Make sure you hop into the caller queue. But to do that, you got to download the app. The link for Colin, available in the comment section and the description right now. Thanks to the homeboy Seeps. It's chatsports.com/49ers call in. Make sure you join us for our live podcast. Get into the caller queue so that you can call into the show like a sports talk radio call-in show. If you're excited for today's show, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We're about to get underway on the 49ers Report, live here on YouTube, live here on Rumble. If you're excited for the show, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Only 26 likes thus far. Let's get to 50 before we start the show. Here's what we have cooking up for you. Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel reporting to mandatory minicamp. That's significant for this football team and for the hopes of both Deebo and Bosa in trying to land those contract extensions. I'm also going to explain how the Aaron Donald new contract, as he's now the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league, what that means for Bosa moving forward, and everything that's going on with Deebo. Also, a juicy rumor out there. If the 49ers were to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Baker Mayfield, they would save money, and in doing so, maybe allocate that cash to Deebo and Bosa for those contract extensions. 49ers trade candidates also coming your way. Going to be doing one mailbag. Make sure you get those questions in using the hashtag 49ers or Super Chat us. Then after our show wraps up visually, we'll be going to the audio medium. Call in for a live podcast after the show. Only 34 likes, 100 people watching live. Smash that thumbs up icon, like the video if you're ready for today's show to start. With that, let's dive into the latest 49ers news and rumors. We have a loaded show coming your way on the 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. We're diving into the latest 49ers news around Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa reporting to mandatory minicamp. Then a juicy 49ers rumor on the back end of the show. Could San Francisco look to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Baker Mayfield to save some money on the salary cap and then use that money and allocate it to a Deebo Samuel contract extension and or Nick Bosa? If you're living on the West Coast, you woke up to some really positive 49ers news this morning from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. 49ers mandatory minicamp was supposed to be next week. It starts today in Santa Clara. And guess who will be there amid all of these trade rumors and contract extension rumors? Deebo Samuel, one of the most valuable players in the National Football League. Rappaport saying this: 49ers star wide receiver Deebo Samuel is expected to attend minicamp starting today. Now, we're not sure if he's going to be on the practice field, but him actually being there, not holding out, is big for him. It's big for this football team. It's a positive development moving forward. But Jeremy Fowler did say this: Deebo is technically back, but the situation has remained mostly status quo in recent weeks. The trade request still hangs out there. Haven't heard anything about tangible progress on the contract front. The 49ers have projected optimism, but clearly work to be done. So there's a lot of room left and a lot of progress to be made between this organization and Deebo Samuel as he looks to solidify himself as one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL after what he was able to do for San Francisco last year, being the MVP of this offense en route to a Final Four appearance in the NFC Championship game. This is a step in the right direction, but is this a I'm just here so I don't get fined situation for Deebo Samuel? Because if he weren't to report to mandatory minicamp, he would get fined, and going into 2022, which is the final year of his rookie contract, he's making a base salary of less than $4 million. And considering the level of physicality he plays with, his usage last year, and how his game is predicated on physicality and him playing wide receiver and running back, he can't afford to get fined with the base salary as low as it is, and that's why he is demanding a contract extension, because he wants to make sure that he has long-term financial security. You look at the Deebo Samuel timeline. First, right after the year, he deleted the 49ers off his Instagram page. Then the official trade request came in April. He skipped voluntary workouts all throughout OTAs this offseason. Next up, will a contract get done? Now, we have so much to get to and unpack on today's show. We're only getting started. You don't want to miss a single second of it. But first, I want to ask you this question. If you want the 49ers to sign Deebo Samuel to a contract extension, then I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If you don't want Deebo back to the Bay, list why you don't want the 49ers to pay him in the comment section right now. As for what a new Deebo Samuel contract could look like, this is the list of the highest paid wide receivers per year on an average annual value basis. Tyreek Hill, upon the completion of that trade from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins, landed a new contract, and right now he's paid $30 million per year. Davante Adams with the Las Vegas Raiders, he also got traded this offseason, now making $28 million, followed by DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown, and Stephon Diggs. The Brown and Diggs deals were also made this offseason, and this is why Deebo Samuel wants to get paid right now, because Tyreek did, Davante Adams did, A.J. Brown did, and Stephon Diggs did as well throughout this offseason. There was so much wide receiver movement and a lot of wide receivers securing the bag. Deebo Samuel wants to be next because of what he did last year. Now, Tyreek Hill, highest paid wide receiver in the history of the NFL. You compare his numbers to what Deebo Samuel did last year. Let me pose this question for the audience. Who had a better year, and who was more impactful for their offense? Was it Deebo, the Yak King, or was it Cheetah, Tyreek Hill? Now, Tyreek Hill, the better overall wide receiver, in my opinion, and last year the numbers certainly backed that up. 111 catches, 1,200 plus yards, total touchdowns at 9, rushing yards 96, average yards per catch at about 10.7. That's the average yards per carry, excuse me. But then Deebo Samuel didn't catch as many balls, but had more receiving yards because of his ability to run defenders over and pick up yards after the grab. Total touchdowns more than Tyreek Hill, more rushing yards, and more carries. That's why the average yards per carry was a little bit lower. So while Tyreek Hill might be the better prototypical wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, in my opinion, the more impactful and dangerous offensive player last year. So you see where he's coming from and why he wants a new deal going into the final year of his rookie contract as a second-round pick. Still to come on today's show, Nick Bosa, same member of that historic draft class for San Francisco, also attending 49ers mandatory minicamp. And at the back end of the show, could the 49ers trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Baker Mayfield? It would actually save them some money, a juicy rumor out there that we will hit. But first, how much would you pay Deebo Samuel per year? We looked at the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL just moments ago, and you compare them to the impact that Deebo has in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Give me a dollar figure in terms of millions of dollars down below in the comment section. After our live show wraps up today on YouTube and Rumble, going to be doing another live podcast where you have the opportunity to call into the show on the Call-In app. I need everybody watching right now to not only join us on Call-In right after our YouTube and Rumble show wraps up, but make sure you download the Call-In app, because moving forward, going to be going live once a week. What is Call-In? Live interactive podcasting app where you can call into the show. Think about it like Twitter Spaces, but it's even better. The download links for both your iPhone and Android devices available in the comment section and the description of this video, or you can go to chatsports.com/49ers Call-In. We pivot now to Nick Bosa. Rappaport on this subject matter as well. 49ers Pro Bowl pass rusher Nick Bosa was in the building yesterday on Monday. A sign he'll be at minicamp today, source said. Bosa has not been attending OTAs and could be a contract extension candidate. Nick Bosa has another year left on his rookie deal because he was a first-round pick back a couple years ago. Nick Bosa could secure the bag and be one of the highest-paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL, especially after the deal that Aaron Donald got on Monday, a historic contract from the Los Angeles Rams. He was flirting with retirement, saying that he had no problem stepping away from the game of football. I think that was leverage for him to try to secure the bag, and boy, oh boy, did one of the best defensive players in the history of the NFL do that in securing the bag. And this contract right here could play into what the 49ers have to give Nick Bosa, at least in the neighborhood of the contract that he's looking for. Donald receives a 3-year contract. I think Bosa, because he's younger, will get more years. Total money, $95 million. Average per year, 31.5, so it makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the league. Not sure what the guaranteed money is, but Nick Bosa could get something close to what Aaron Donald got from the fellow NFC West rival. And it's easy to see why Nick Bosa is going to get a lot of money on his next deal, because in his rookie year in 2019 en route to the Super Bowl, he was fantastic in his first year as a pro. And then last year in 2021, had the best year coming off a torn ACL. Just incredibly dominant, and honestly, even better throughout that playoff run going to the NFC title game. 21 tackles for loss last year for Nick Bosa, 15 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 32 quarterback hits. Bosa, Donald, 2 of the best defensive players in the NFL. That's why Bosa is in line for a monster payday. Next up on the show, how the 49ers can clear money on their salary cap to help pay for the aforementioned Nick Bosa, as well as Deebo Samuel. That's coming up right around the corner. But first, you got to pay one if you're John Lynch, Parag, Adam Peters, in this 49ers front office. I'm putting you to the test here in the comments section. You have to pay one, so pick one to give the bag to. Type 19 for Deebo Samuel, 97 for Nick Bosa. Let me know down below, is it going to be Deebo, or is it going to be the Bear in Bosa? Let me know down in the comment section. Here on the 49ers Report, we are reaching and closing in on a milestone of 60,000 subscribers. We need 294 people to get the 60K subs as the largest 49ers news and rumors channel right here on YouTube. If you want videos every single day covering OTAs, minicamp, training camp, the season, free agency, draft, news, rumors, live shows, live podcasts, make sure you hit that red sub button down below. To this wild, fascinating rumor out there where the 49ers could trade away Jimmy G for Baker Mayfield, considering the looming legal situation of Deshaun Watson. This coming from Ben Volen, who's been covering the NFL for a long time. He took to Twitter and said this: I'm going to put my general manager hat on for a minute. Baker Mayfield for Jimmy Garoppolo straight up. Who says no? The Browns get 1 year of Deshaun Watson insurance, as this legal situation has not figured itself out yet. He might not even play in 2022. I think that's a realistic possibility, by the way. And the Niners, on the other end, get a veteran backup for Trey Lance, and each team gets rid of a contract it doesn't want. Now, you're watching right now, like, probably saying, how does this even work with the financials? The 49ers would save about $7 million by trading Jimmy G to the Browns for Baker Mayfield. Jimmy G's salary cap hit, $26.9 million. As for Baker Mayfield, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $18+ million. And the 49ers would be able to use that money, allocate it to giving Deebo Samuel a contract extension, and or maybe using that money to pay Nick Bosa. As for Baker Mayfield, I think he's one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the world. Last year, thought he got a bad rep. He was really injured, banged up, and because of that, his play suffered. Completed less than 61% of his passes for a little more than 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. I think Baker Mayfield is more like the player that we saw back in 2020 when he led the Browns to a playoff win for the first time since the early 90s when Bill Belichick was the head coach of Cleveland. Completed about 63% of his passes. I don't like the completion percentage there. The advantage for him coming out of Oklahoma when he was the number 1 pick and the Heisman Trophy winner, everybody was talking and raving about his accuracy. That hasn't translated to the NFL level. League averages about 66%, but 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. Pretty good year for Baker Mayfield. I think he's more like the 2020 guy as compared to the 2021 guy. Now, with Baker Mayfield comes a lot of swagger, some unwanted drama, but as a backup quarterback and saving money, I actually don't hate this potential trade between the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers that would send Jimmy G to Cleveland, maybe allow him to start some games in the wake of everything going down with Deshaun Watson. Their number 2 quarterback right now is Jacoby Brissett, and Baker Mayfield as a backup for Trey Lance to maybe bring back his confidence, allow Baker Mayfield to go through some football therapy with an offensive mastermind and Kyle Shanahan. It's juicy, it's wild, but I happen to like it. Do you? Would you do the deal? I want to hear from you once more. I'm fielding all of your responses in the comment section. Give me a T for trade, P for pass. Get that comment section popping. Here, would you do the deal? T for trade, P for pass. I see Chris Hadley in the comment section saying P. BK from the Bay, trade, Niner bug, pass. Lucius, P. We don't want Baker from Nathan Dickey. Chua Lore getting that question in for our upcoming mailbag. We'll get to that here in just a second. Moby Doe, T for trade. Strong pass. Chua Lore, pass. David McCallum, T for trade. Over the next minute, you see this question here? How many responses can we get in over the next minute? I want to put you to the test. Comment as fast as possible. T for trade, P for pass. In the meantime, we're going to be doing a mailbag coming up next right here on the 49ers Report, where I have the grand luxury to answer all of your questions and your super chats. How do you get involved? You got to use the hashtag 49ers so that Marshall Green, producer extraordinaire, host of New York Giants Now and New York Knicks Now, is able to see your questions and pop them up on the screen. Better yet, if you super chat us, we guarantee you that everything that you have to say, everything that you ask us will be featured on the show if you do send us a super chat. James Cox, Byron McCants, BK from the Bay, all in the chat right now. So too is Johnny Robinson, Ben Matthews, Nathan Dickey. Appreciate all of you for chiming in into the comments section and then showing us some love here on the 49ers Report. Coming up next, it is the aforementioned mailbag where we're going to answer all of your 49ers-related questions. You got to get involved by using the hashtag 49ers or Super Chat us. More comments coming in from Philippe. I see Wesley Jacobson. Monroe Oakley typing a P for pass. Jermel, T for trade. Kurt Johnson, a P for pass. Also looking at our live poll right now, we're up to 136 votes. If you had to pay just one player, who would you pay? You couldn't pay both. Would it be Nick Bosa? Would it be Deebo Samuel? 72% of the people going with Nick Bosa. You compare edge rusher to wide receiver. I think the more valuable position and the player that you're going to have for the long haul usually could be an edge rusher, and the more valuable player, edge rusher, especially on this 49ers team right now. So I agree. I'm just somewhat surprised that given how well Deebo Samuel played last year, he's only getting 28% of the votes. Continue to get those votes in our live poll. USMC Niners for life, thank you for your service. P for pass. Bremac, P for pass. DM, hard pass on Baker. I was looking at the comment section. A lot of people do not want Baker Mayfield on this team. But think about it. You trade Jimmy G for Baker. You save around $7 million, as we just talked about. You can use that money in a Nick Bosa extension or to give to Deebo Samuel. Coming up next, we're going to be doing a mailbag where I take all of your questions. And after that, 5 49ers trade candidates. Then after our YouTube and Rumble show airs, going to be going live exclusively on Call-In for a podcast where I predict every single one of the 53-man roster spots on this Niners roster. That'll be on our live podcast. But for now, start this 49ers News and Rumors mailbag. Get those questions in, hashtag 49ers. Better yet, super chat us. This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports coming your way on today's show. Going to take all of your questions on the San Francisco 49ers. But first, make sure you subscribe to us on Callin. It's an audio social podcasting app that's like Twitter Spaces, but even better. And we go live on YouTube and Rumble every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. And we go live on Callin for a live podcast where I can answer your calls after we do our visual medium. So we're in the podcast game as well. Make sure you subscribe to us when you download the Callin app, chatsports.com/49ers Callin on your iPhone and Android devices. The link for that is in the comment section and the description of this video. Lucius with this question to kick off this mailbag. Deebo hasn't been paid yet, but I feel as though it's a good sign that he is attending mandatory minicamp, and he seems to be on good terms with the team's front office. Does this mean that he stays at San Francisco 49er? I think it's a good sign moving forward, and you consider everything that's transpired with Deebo after the year. He deletes the 49ers off his Instagram page, then he demands that trade, and oftentimes a relationship can go the contentious route in which Deebo demands to get traded. He wants out, and oftentimes because of the player empowerment era, the front office will cave into that pressure. I actually give the Niners credit for not giving into that pressure coming from the player. They wanted to repair that relationship. Kyle Shanahan speaking on the first day of mandatory minicamp when Deebo Samuel was in attendance, doing some workouts on the side and hitting the weight room, saying, I never felt as though our relationship was that far off from actually repairing it. And by all accounts, Deebo, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they've had a good relationship over time. I think this is just what you're seeing from players in the NFL these days and in the NBA. When they want a new contract, especially when they see a bunch of other players at their position group securing the bag, getting these historic contracts, and in Deebo's instance, going into the final year of his rookie contract with a base salary of $3.9 million, with the state taxes in California, he wants long-term financial security. So I certainly see where he's coming from. Him reporting to mandatory minicamp, it is a positive step in the right direction, but Jeremy Fowler saying hasn't been a lot of progress made with these contract talks. We'll see what transpires over the next couple of days and weeks. Chew allure with this, if the 49ers trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Browns, do the 49ers get picks with Baker Mayfield? I don't think so. I think it could be a player-for-player swap. Now, going into this year, Jimmy Garoppolo's cap hit is at $26.9 million. Baker Mayfield at 18 plus. So you save about $7 million in change just by trading Jimmy G for Baker Mayfield. Now, for those of you watching right now, you're like, okay, Baker Mayfield, better arm, former number one pick, probably the better quarterback. He's also younger than Jimmy G. He's not going back to Cleveland. And with everything going down with Deshaun Watson right now, another civil suit filed against him. I think we're up to 24 at this point. I think there's a realistic chance that Deshaun Watson doesn't play in 2022. And at the very least, I think he's going to be on his way to a suspension of, let's say, anywhere between 4 and 8 games. And the backup right now for Cleveland is Jacoby Brissett. So if you trade for Jimmy G, he's actually going to play for you, unlike Baker Mayfield. And for the Niners, Trey Lance insurance, you have Baker Mayfield who has pedigree, and I think that Mayfield would welcome coming to San Francisco. New environment, clean slate, new foundation. You get in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it would be a reset moment for him, and he gets out of the drama-filled Cleveland Browns organization. Why Big Jordan is next up. Why do you think no fan base wants Baker? A lot of reasons. I think it's his swagger and it's his confidence that rub people the wrong way. Coming out of Oklahoma, I like that about his game. But he is a little bit sensitive. He's not scared to fire back. I don't know that he's shown the necessary leadership skills to be the face of a franchise. I think he's cracked under pressure at times when there's been pressure coming at him from the media as well as the fan base, and that's why he's lashed out in person during some of his press conferences as well as on social media. He's also coming off an injury-plagued season in which him, like Jimmy Garoppolo for that matter, did get shoulder surgery. And he had a really bad year last year. And there's been drama that's followed him throughout his NFL career. And he hasn't necessarily lived up to the number one overall pick status. So I think that's why teams are kind of having trepidations about Baker Mayfield. And then also it's the money. About $18 million on that rookie contract. He's pretty expensive. And a lot of teams at this point do not have a lot of money left to pay for Baker Mayfield. So you talk about the distractions, the injury, the dip in play, and the money. That's why organizations are staying away from Baker. But I do think he's one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Summertime is here, and I know a lot of you are going on vacation. Some of you have a beach house. Some of you have a lake house. I want to ask you this. Are you a beach or lake person? I want to hear from you in the comment section. Something different that I'm asking the audience today. Type B for beach, L for lake. For me, I'd rather go lake, less people, less crowded as compared to the beach, and I actually really like just chilling by the lake. I think you can do more too. You want to rent a boat, you want to take out some jet skis, go for a swim, hop off the dock, go back on land, chug some beers. It's a really good time. Less rules as well if you have your lake house. You don't have to worry about all the lifeguards and the security personnel looming over you at the beach. I'm typing my L for lake. Moby Doe, if we can't trade Jimmy G, should we just release him? I think the 49ers are holding out hope that they can get some type of semblance of value back for Garoppolo. If he didn't get that shoulder surgery, I think he could have fetched the Niners about a second-round pick. I mean, you look at what Carson Wentz has gotten in recent years, Sam Darnold, lesser quarterbacks. They've got about first-round picks, second-round picks, some third-round picks, and I think Garoppolo is better than those two players, and he's won 71% of his starts throughout his entire NFL career. Now, what is giving teams pause is a couple of things. It's him being injury-prone, coming off a shoulder surgery on his throwing arm, and $26.9 million as his salary cap hit. That is a fat sum. Now, I think He's worth it for teams that are desperate for quarterbacks. Here's the deal, though. A lot of teams aren't desperate for quarterbacks because of all of the quarterback movement that took place throughout what was an historic NFL offseason. Good question from Moby Doe. Pate_Ace, does our defense or offense lead the way for the Niners next year? I think it's going to be the defense. I think the Niners defense has the ability to be one of the best in the NFL. You look at their defensive front. It is straight up loaded with arguably the best pass rusher in the game in Nick Bosa, coming off a 15.5 sack season. He had like 3 or 4 more sacks in the playoffs. Just tremendous coming off that torn ACL. Eric Armstead, once he switched to D tackle, was wreaking havoc. On the other side, Drake Jackson. You've got really good depth with Kerry Hyder, Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, Kamoko Toure, Hassan Ridgeway, Javon Kinlaw, if he's able to live up to him being a first-round pick. Like, the depth along that defensive line is great, and that sets the table. That sets the foundation for everything else, because at that second level, I think the Niners have one of the best linebacking corps with Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shire, and Dre Greenlaw, and I think their secondary is much improved from last year. Number 1 corner, Charvarius Ward, like Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas. Jason Verrett is one of your depth pieces with Diamador Lenore, Samuel Womack, Tariq Castro-Fields, and then at the safety spot, a little bit of a question. Who's going to start opposite of Jimmy Ward? Ward is great, played awesome last year. He's lived up to being that first-round pick after originally he looked to be a bust. Is it going to be Talanoa Hufanga? Is it going to be George Odom, Tarvarius Moore? Some questions at those safety positions, and if Ward goes down, that is problematic. But everywhere else, I do like the Niners defense a lot. I think they pace the team, and you have to consider, like, Trey Lance, a little bit raw, right? So I'm not sure that Kyle Shanahan is going to put everything on his plate right from the get-go. They're going to kind of ease him in if he is indeed the starter, which I believe he will. Who is more important to the Niners this upcoming year and moving ahead into the future? These are 2 building blocks. These are 2 franchise pillars and both members of the same draft class. 2 really good hits in the first and second round for John Lynch and this crew. DS for Deebo, NB for Nick Bosa. Let me know in the comment section right now. Mama G 33K. What's up with D Ford? Kyle Shanahan saying on Tuesday that he is going to report to the facility this week. He's going to take his physical, and he does not believe that D Ford is going to be on the team. So he's probably going to be one of those post-June 1 cuts, and D Ford no longer going to be a Niner. Unfortunate what happened to him with the neck and back injuries, which really curtailed what was shaping up to be a fantastic career. Pate Ace back at it. Who will be the offensive line starters for week 1? That's a great question. That is the biggest question mark in terms of positional groups on this Niners roster, and probably my biggest concern right now as we stand here approaching the middle of June. At left tackle, it's going to be Trent Williams. I think at left guard, it'll be Aaron Banks. Who's going to start at center, man? Is it going to be Jake Brendel? Is it going to be J.C. Treader? Could it be Daniel Brunskill? And then that then leads to who starts right guard. If it's Brunskill at center, who starts at right guard? Could it be Jalen Moore? So I'm not sure who's going to be at center, who's going to be at right guard. I have a pretty good idea if he comes off that quad surgery, that Mike McGlinchey going to be the starting right tackle. So that is my best swing and my best attempt at what the offensive line will be in front of Trey Lance. Every single week after our live shows air on YouTube as well as Rumble, as we go live now, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, we go live for an interactive podcast on the Call-In app. And right now, we are 5 people away from 100 subscribers on Call-In, nearly 60,000 subscribers right here on YouTube. But we're trying to catch Chicago Bears now, the 49ers Week 1 opponent. So if you want to show that you're a member of the Niner Gang, the Niner Empire, and you want to join our weekly live podcast and call into the show, it's like Twitter Spaces, but even better. Make sure you download the app, chatsports.com/49ers call-in, subscribe, but also show everybody else that the Niner Gang shows up, they show out, and let's beat the Bears Week 1 on the field, but also with call-in subscribers. Sub to me, and I'll sub back with this. Have you seen the video of Deebo at training camp? He looks happy. Also, please tell Jim Foster to get out. Okay, I'll tell Jim Foster that. As for Deebo Samuel, look, this is a guy who has a great personality. He's exuberant. He always has a smile on his face. And because of that, I want to see him back because I think he's a big member with the 49ers culture in the locker room. He's a team leader. It was him and Trent Williams leading the Niners out of the locker room all year last year as the two guys who were holding up that boombox and playing Super Gremlin by Kodak Black, a banger, by the way. Yeah, I mean, Deebo is a guy who feeds off positive energy, and he doesn't like to be a negative guy or a distraction. And I don't think he's going to be a distraction throughout mandatory minicamp or in training camp. I think at some point a deal is going to get done. And when that happens, you'll see an even wider smile on the face for Deebo Samuel. If I didn't answer your question on today's mailbag, appreciate all of your questions and your hot takes. You can give me a follow. You can hit me up, slide in my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I made it easy for everybody, man. And women. It's the same handle on both social media platforms, at Chase_Senior. My social media platforms and handles always in the description and the comment section of this video. Give me a follow, slide in my DMs. I tweet out all of the latest 49ers updates and some clips from the show, and we get to chop it up on social media. Okay, give you some shout-outs here. Mike calling out some Rams fans right now. Jim Foster, I think he is the Rams fan, and that's who people are telling me to say get out. But if you're a rival, hey, you're still helping our numbers right here on the 49ers Report. Mamba G33K getting a question in. I'll answer it right now. Do you think the Niners running backs are better than last year? I do. I think this running back unit is really good. And Wesley Jacobson, Jim Foster had his bed pooped on by Amber Heard. Best comment of the day right there. I got to screenshot that and send it to some fellow coworkers. That is next level right there. Got to throw that into our Slack room because we were talking about that Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. That's good creativity right there. He's not happy at the Amber Heard dump. Give me a second. Yeah, that's never what you want. Let's see. Sending that to the group here. Maybe I'll throw a poop emoji in there as well. Good stuff from Wesley Jacobson right there. Going live on Call-In after our show wraps up on YouTube as well as Rumble. We have one more segment to get to, but before we get started, we have 80 likes right now. That's awesome. Jerry Rice, the GOAT at the wide receiver position. Got to get to 100 likes before we start our next segment where I bring you 5 49ers trade candidates. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Let's get to 100 likes right now. I know people are tuned in. You got to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. 20 likes with 225 people watching, up to 230 right now. It should be very easy to pick up 20 likes. So smash that thumbs up icon, or as we like to say here at Chat Sports, tickle that thumbs up icon, like the video if you're enjoying the show. Up to 82 likes, got to get to 100. Niner gang, show up, represent, tickle that thumbs up icon, like the video. Up next on the show, breaking down 5 49ers trade candidates. 12 more likes to get to before we talk about those trade candidates. Get it in. Let's go. Mamba G33K. Chase, this is the best 49ers report. Thank you so much. Bobby, Wesley. Hey, can I somehow see this again to show my daughter? The show? Yeah, no, it'll be on our channel. If you're talking about my Slack message to our crew, I'm not sure why you'd want to show your daughter that, but you can watch our show after it airs. Yeah, you can watch it as I give you some shout outs here. Wesley Jacobson and your daughter, thanks for tuning in to the 49ers Report. Jim Foster, you were just a hater, man. We got to put you in timeout, brother. You were just popping off. Did you have a bad day? You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, my man? 3 more likes to get to 100. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Then we'll talk about these 49ers trade candidates. 3 more to get to until we get to 100. Tickle that like icon. Kurt Jones, don't ever watch Rams crap. Hey, defending Super Bowl champs, Aaron Donald got paid. I am still not over that NFC Championship game loss. Come on, 2 more likes. 2 more likes to get to a stack, to get to the century mark. Sub to me and I'll sub back. I dropped a like and I'm on my way to San Francisco now. I am very excited. Surpassed 100 likes. Let's talk about these trade candidates. Next up, right here on the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Coming your way on the 49ers Report, I'm going to break down 5 trade candidates for the San Francisco 49ers now that minicamp is rolling on and training camp is around the corner. It could still be a busy offseason for San Francisco. We'll get to those 5 names. But first, Father's Day coming up right around the corner as well. Get your pop something nice for Father's Day and get them the most elite men's grooming products, 20% off and free shipping, so you can save yourself some money in the process by using that link at the bottom of your screen. It's manscaped.com/49ers. In a few moments, we'll tell you about a great deal from Manscaped. That link in the comment section and the description of this video. So the point of today's show, we're getting creative. I'm going to put on my general manager hat, and we're going to take a look at 5 players who could be traded by San Francisco with minicamp officially underway. And we start off with a very obvious name in Jimmy Garoppolo, who a couple months ago, we would have said that in the middle of June, Garoppolo definitely would have been traded. He's still on this roster, and he's rehabbing his shoulder surgery in Los Angeles away from this facility. That's what Kyle Shanahan said on the first day of mandatory minicamp when he was addressing the media. And he's been excused from minicamp, so he's not partaking in practices, and I think that's really good for the development of Trey Lance. The 49ers continue to look for a trade partner, according to multiple reports out there, and Garoppolo won't be able to throw until training camp. Now, what's of note is that Kyle Shanahan did say to the media that if Garoppolo is not traded, he does expect him to partake in training camp and practice alongside Trey Lance if he's not dealt. But I do believe that it's in the best interest for San Francisco to trade away Garoppolo. And these 5 teams still could make a play for Garoppolo's services. The Carolina Panthers, they have quarterback questions right now. Sam Darnold, Matt Corral, P.J. Walker on the roster right now. Houston Texans, is Davis Mills that guy? A lot of people within that organization believe that to be the case, and for a second-year quarterback, he's cheaper than Garoppolo. Seattle Seahawks, Drew Lock, Geno Smith, the top 2 quarterbacks on that team. Looks as though it could be a rebuilding year in Seattle. They might want to save some money on their salary cap and move forward with Drew Lock to see what he can do. Pete Carroll saying in the lead-up to the NFL draft that Drew Lock would be the number 1 quarterback taken. I disagree with that, but if they want an upgrade at QB, I think Garoppolo is better than Lock as well as Geno Smith. What's going to go down with Deshaun Watson? Jacoby Brissett right now is the backup. Is Watson going to play in 2022? Is he going to get suspended for half of the year, with more legal cases being pinned against him? And if that's the case and he doesn't play, could the Browns trade away Baker Mayfield to San Francisco for Garoppolo? And in the process, San Francisco would save about $7 million. New England Patriots, lastly. Mac Jones is, of course, their starter right now. But if he goes down, does New England have a reunion with Jimmy G? Bill Belichick really liked him. According to multiple reports out there, they wanted Garoppolo to take over for Tom Brady many, many years ago. Prior to the trade of Garoppolo to San Francisco, they've done business in the past. Maybe they do business once again. Now, if you want the 49ers to trade away Jimmy G, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If you don't want the Niners to trade him away and you think that bringing him back is good for Trey Lance or another reason, I want you to comment why. Trade candidate number 2. It's Trey Sermon, and I'll explain. I understand that he's a 3rd-round pick from only a year ago, has a lot of ability and a lot of potential. Only played in 9 games last year, though, carried the ball 41 times. But since the Niners' running back room is crowded, as we're about to show you, a running back-needy team might come calling to San Francisco if they suffer injuries throughout training camp, OTAs, or minicamp, and they want to take a chance on a guy who certainly has some pedigree and a lot of ability and explosiveness and physicality. This is a huge offseason for Trey Sermon to prove that he belongs on this roster. Obviously, the Niners thought highly of him. They wouldn't have exhausted a 3rd-round pick on him if they didn't like him. But back-to-back years, and this year, the latter, they went with Ty Davis-Price out of LSU. So this running back room is a little bit crowded. And you look at the depth chart right now, it's Elijah Mitchell, who was top 10 in yards per game among all running backs last year. Certainly has some flash to his game, has to prove that he can be a little bit more durable. He enters the year RB1. I'm going to put Trey Sermon running back 2 because I want to see him rise to the occasion, and he has the ability to be a starter in this league. Ty Davis-Price, I think he's better than Jeff Wilson. I think he's better than JaMychal Hasty. So in my opinion, he should be running back 3. You bring back Jeff Wilson on a 1-year deal, and JaMychal Hasty is back as well. The opening 49ers 53-man roster last year did feature 5 running backs, and if they decide to go with 5 backs again, then everybody makes the team. But Jordan Mason, the UDFA out of Georgia Tech, impressing a lot of people, and maybe he steals a roster spot, or if they want to keep him for special teams value, could one of these guys get cut? Or could Trey Sermon get traded away? You look at his numbers from 2021. We didn't see enough from him or of him. 41 totes, 167 yards, 4 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. And you pair that and his struggles with the fact that Ty Davis-Price turning some heads, and he received this praise from one of the best NFL film evaluators in Greg Cosell. He thinks that Ty Davis-Price, TDP, could play a lot this year, maybe even be the starter. Here's his scouting evaluation of the former LSU Tiger. He could play a lot this year. He's big, athletic, he's got burst acceleration, had some neutral bend to him, definitely has a physical presence. He kept his pads low, finished runs with velocity and power. I really like this kid. I was in some ways, because I got to him late and didn't know what to expect, I was kind of blown away by him. I think he's got all the running back traits and an NFL foundational back, and to me, there's no question that over time, he can carry a volume load. You want to give him the ball 16 to 20 times. He can do that at 6 feet, 211 pounds. So with that, I segue to this. Who do you think the leading rusher for the 49ers is going to be in 2022? Your opportunity to chime in, sound off, and join the show. Is it going to be Elijah Mitchell, EM, Trey Sermon, type TS, Ty Davis-Price, type TDP, Jeff Wilson, JW, or if it's JaMychal Hasty, type JH? In 2 Sundays, Father's Day is here. Get ahead of the curve and get your pop something really, really nice during this holiday season with the premium collection from Manscaped, which features some phenomenal products. The boxer briefs will have your pops feeling really good for your mom. And the Lawnmower 4.0 is fantastic. Has versatility to it, like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, multiple interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever. It's also water resistant, so if you get it wet, you drop it in the toilet, all good in the hood. The nose trimmer is really good. You don't want your nose hairs just popping out. It's never a good look. You get ball toner, ball deodorant, and once again, those boxer briefs, straight up phenomenal. And Manscaped has a deal right now for the faithful, limited time only. If you go to manscaped.com/49ers, $95.99 is the price and the knockdown from $121+. I'm going to put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Don't get your dad something that he doesn't use, something that collects dust. Get him something that he actually utilizes on an everyday basis. It's a premium collection from Manscaped. We move ahead with our trade candidates. It is Samson Ebukam. That's Dre Greenlaw right there, but Samson Ebukam is the guy who could get dealt. Here he is, the edge rusher for San Francisco. And a big reason why Ebukam could get dealt, it all comes down to financials for the 49ers. Now, I like the player. I like the free agent acquisition back 2 off seasons ago. You paid a little bit of money for him, and you got some pretty good play, especially after the tail end last year when he really started to step up. As for the savings that would go down and what makes him a pretty good trade candidate, maybe even a cut candidate. He has a cap hit of $8.2 million in 2022, but only a dead cap hit of $1.75 million. And teams in the NFL are always looking for edge rushers. That is a position that is a premium asset on any ball club. And if you're thin there in today's pass-happy NFL, that's certainly a problem because you have to generate pressure on the quarterback for your back end, your linebackers and your secondary to have any chance of coming through with some stops. And Ebukam is a really good player. His numbers last year, pretty solid. 38 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 11 quarterback hits, and 5 sacks. And a lot of this damage came after the midway point of the year. Samson Ebukam, really good edge rusher, and I'd like to see him come back to this 49ers roster because in year 2, I think he'll be able to maximize his ability on this defense given the depth and the talent level of it, but a trade candidate indeed because a team might get desperate and blow the 49ers away with an offer, and in doing so, San Francisco can save some cash. Rank the 49ers defensive line in the NFL all the way from 1 to 32. You're good, Marsh. Scale it for me from 1 to 32 in the comment section. 32 teams in the NFL. I think there's no question that San Francisco will have a top 5 defensive line, but you let me know where they'll rank in 2022. While you're down there getting those comments in, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Closing in, getting ever so close to 60,000 subscribers. A big reason we've been able to grow our audience so much is because I took over as the host around the NFL draft last year. I'm just kidding. But since then, we have picked up nearly 30,000 subscribers in a little more than a calendar year. And honestly, a big reason we've been able to grow: free daily videos, news, rumors, free agency, draft coverage. When the season gets going, we're pushing out multiple videos every single day. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below, or let this video roll in a separate browser. Head to youtube.com/49ers TV. Now, we gave you a preview earlier when we showed you this picture of Dre Greenlaw. Now he's up on your screen officially because we got to talk about him. Now, throughout this offseason, he's been rumored to be a sexy trade player for a lot of teams in the NFL because, frankly, he's a really good linebacker. Now, he wasn't able to showcase his skills as much last year because he was injured. But if he's right, he gives the 49ers arguably the best linebacking trio in the NFL. You have the all-pro in Fred Warner. You have an excellent big play game changer in Azeez Al-Shaair, who I think was phenomenal last year. And you have Dre Greenlaw. If you were to trade him away, you could also save some money. But the thought here is that Greenlaw going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. So if you don't have plans to bring him back, because you might have to also pay Azeez Al-Shaair, who you had to exercise a tender on, then maybe you trade him away and you get some really good value back. Last year, only a couple games played. He did have that pick six off Jared Goff in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, and late in the year was able to make his return and play a little bit in the playoffs, 21 tackles, and all the numbers somewhat missing. Again, that's because he was injured, though. Dre Greenlaw has shown the propensity for making big plays, for being a big play linebacker. He's a very good backer in this league. And again, a team, and really the overall arcing process and thought here throughout today's video, if an injury happens on another team, if a team gets desperate at a certain position group, the Niners have the depth to trade somebody away. Dre Greenlaw could be one of those trade candidates to get you some good draft capital back or some players back, especially if you don't have plans of re-signing him. What would you do with Greenlaw? I'd like to keep him because I like having good players on the team, and I don't think he's going to cost a ton. T for trade, K for keep. I'm fielding all of your responses in the comment section right now. I want to hear from everybody watching. Lastly, how can we get through a trade video without talking about Deebo Samuel because of the trade demand that he sent to the front office and the continued trade rumors around Deebo right now? Yes, he did report this week to mandatory minicamp, but does that mean that everything is good and all is good in the hood G between Deebo and San Francisco? According to Jeremy Fowler, a lot of room to make up with some of these contract talks. Fowler saying this week: Deebo is technically back, but the situation has remained mostly status quo in recent weeks. The trade request still hangs out there. Haven't heard anything about tangible progress on the contract front. The 49ers have projected optimism, but clearly there is work to be done. I don't think it makes any sense to trade away Deebo Samuel. I think with a young quarterback in Trey Lance, it's great to lock him up to a contract extension because you want Trey Lance to be able to hand the football off to Deebo and throw to one of the most elite weapons in the NFL. And if a trade were to happen for Deebo, would have made the most sense when he made that trade request right before the NFL draft, and a trade before the draft or during the draft would have made the most sense because that's when you could have drafted his replacement and maximized the value. At this point, trading him away, you won't be able to make your selection for a Deebo Samuel replacement, and I'm not sure the market is what it once was. Now, a team like the New York Jets, they're looking for a number 1 wide receiver for Zach Wilson. Maybe they decide to just mortgage the farm for Deebo, but I think a trade would have made sense back in April as compared to now. And you look at the previous history of how the 49ers have done business. Fred Warner last year, George Kittle the year before that, they handed out these contract extensions in July as well as August. I expect a similar path for Deebo here over the next few weeks. A tough decision, 419. What would you do with Deebo Samuel? P for pay him, sign him to a long-term contract extension to pay him anywhere between $25 and $30 million per year, or would you trade him away and try to get some players and draft picks back? Let me know. Be the GM, be John Lynch, and get that comment section flowing. Okay, that does it for our trade candidates. Next up, we'll be going live exclusively on Call-In. Rusty Haskins, P. Kurt Johnson, MMA, K. All good, Marsh. Continue to get those votes in. P for pay, T for trade. Let me know. Ivory Mobley, he's paying Deebo. Kurt Johnson, he's saying K for keep him. The link for call-in in the chat right now. We'll be going live on call-in for a live podcast here in just a few moments. BK from the Bay, pay him. People are still talking about the Rams fan, Jim Foster. Matthias saying that he was a Charger fan last year. Be nice. Don't use hostile language, but it is fun to have a little bit of a friendly beef. Ramses Salgado, P for pay. Appreciate all of you for being a part of the show. Johnny Robinson, keep only if he wants to stay. Why wouldn't he want to stay? It's way too good of a marriage for it to lead to a divorce. He's utilized perfectly in Shanahan's offense, now maybe less as a running back moving forward to save his body just a little bit. But you're playing with Kyle Shanahan. You have a really good team that can compete for a Super Bowl year in, year out, an organization that's willing to spend, and I think Trey Lance is an intriguing player to play with. Matthew So, P, Philippe, also typing a P for pay him. In just a few moments, going to start our call-in room. We'll try to take a call exclusively here on YouTube. Then we'll cut off our YouTube and Rumble stream and go live exclusively on call-in. So I'll start that room here momentarily. A few more shout-outs to the people. DM, pay him. Good stuff right there. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Cali taxes from Travis. That's why he wants to get paid, Travis. $3.9 million in base salary going into this year. Final year of his contract. No long-term security. With those California taxes, that's why he wants some money right now to lock down the bag. OJG. Shanahan can use Malik Turner the same way. No, he can't. Don't ever compare Malik Turner to Deebo Samuel. I like him making this roster. He ain't Deebo Samuel. Kurt Johnson, chase for assistant coach. I like my job as a broadcaster here at Chat Sports, but it'd be fun to be a coach. BK from the Bay, I think we have a team that could go deep in the playoffs. So, Seeps, let's throw the link in the chat here in a second because there's going to be an updated link. Going to go live here on call-in. I'll give you some directions here, Seeps. No worries. We are officially live on the call-in app. You're listening to the 49ers Report live here by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. The call-in app, it is on and popping. In a few moments, we're officially going to start the show where I predict every single roster spot for the 49ers in 2022. We are still live on YouTube. We could take a call if we want. We getting audio? No audio? Okay. The call-in room is started, dealing with some technical difficulties here. We'll get it figured out here in just a second. Now we're live on call-in. You can hear me, Kareem, James, Drew, Brett. You can hear me right now on call-in. We're still live here on YouTube, letting the audience build up just a bit. And when you hop into the call-in room, we're going to give you some shout-outs here. The link to join us on call-in, available in the YouTube comment section right now. So if you haven't downloaded the app, do so right now. Make a profile. Subscribe as well, as we are 5 people away from 100 subscribers here on the 49ers Report. And when you make a profile, you'll be able to call into the show. James in the comment section giving us a sup. Also, those of you who are hopping in right now, make sure you hit that thumbs up icon and get that comment section going. D. Rucifer. Good afternoon, Chase. The first person that hops into the caller queue will answer it here on YouTube. Then we'll go live exclusively on the call-in app. So therefore, we can show the homies on YouTube who haven't downloaded call-in yet, what exactly we are about. So if Kareem, Paleo, Drew, Matthew, Edgar, 49er Bang, if you want to hop into the caller queue, I see Jason is here as well. I will answer your calls. If not, we'll just officially start our show on call-in where I predict all 53 roster spots for San Francisco here in 2022. For those of you watching us on YouTube as well as Rumble, you see the link at the bottom of your screen. It's chatsports.com/49ers call-in. Make sure you plug in that link. Therefore, you will be able to download the app, make a profile. Therefore, you'll be able to call into the show. Think about it like Twitter Spaces, but it's even better. It's a sports talk radio show, essentially, a live podcast where you can call into the show, you can spit your hottest 49ers takes, and ask me any questions that you want, as we'll be doing a little bit of a mailbag on today's show as well after I take all of your questions, and we'll wrap up the show on call-in after I predict all of these 49ers roster spots. All 53 roster spots. Are people hearing me on call-in? Yep. People are hearing me. It's a little fuzzy, though. I see D. Rucifer is in the comment section. More people continuing to come into the call-in room. I see TR3D Cruz. What's up, everyone from Kansas City? Love you guys. The faithful showing up, showing out. D. Rucifer, good afternoon. He also said it's cutting in and out a little bit. Volume is low from Everyday Ream, and it's going in and out. Okay, we'll try to get that figured out for you. 49ers for Lifer, what's up? FGB from Paleo, good looks. Edgar, what's up, Chase? It's your favorite Spanish tutor. Haha, my man. Appreciate that. That's good stuff right there. Yeah, I did not do a good job in my high school years of studying Spanish. I could have done much better, but my focus was on trying to make it into the broadcasting world, and I was getting ready for that when I was a young buck. Also didn't really like school all that much. For those of you experiencing some audio technicalities, we're working our way through that. D. Rucifer just said it's much better right now. Thank you for the feedback. That is honestly much appreciated. We don't take commercial breaks here, so we're doing it live, as a legend once said. We're good? Okay. Just want to give some shout-outs to everybody tuned in, and then we'll exclusively start our call-in show, and we'll cut off our YouTube and Rumble stream. Kareem, you're the best. Brett, appreciate you. James, good looks. Paleo, Curtis, Drew, Matthew, Edgar, Jason, Kenneth, 49er Bang, Richard, and Keith, all listening right now. The 1+ others, that means that you haven't made a profile yet. Make a profile, then you'll have an opportunity to call into the show and join the 49ers Report live. Everyday Ream, Chase, what's up, man? Love the show. Keep doing what you do. Always my guy. 49er for life, San Francisco. Edgar, I agree, D. Rucifer, and saying that the audio is much better. What's up, Chase? From a Bears fan, but the 49ers are cool from Paleo, Chicago Bears. Can't wait for that Week 1 matchup, man. It is going to be awesome. Marsh, in just a moment, we're going to cut off the YouTube and Rumble stream. Then we'll go live for that cut exclusively on call-in. So getting ready to do that. I'm getting situated on my end. We're going to run through the 49ers roster. I'm going to do an all too early 49ers 53-man roster prediction. If you have any questions about the Niners roster, Deebo Samuel, Trey Lance, as minicamp is officially underway, hop into the caller queue, and then after I break down my roster predictions, I will answer all of the calls and all of the questions that you have. So I'm getting my notes ready because we're going to do this off the cuff. That's just a talent level of your boy here, being sarcastic. But, okay, we're going to cut off our YouTube and Rumble stream. I see Paleo is in the caller queue. Anybody else who wants to hop into the caller queue, do that right now. For those of you still watching us on YouTube and Rumble, you see the link down below, chatsports.com/49ers call-in. The link's been peppered into the comment section as well. Thanks to Patrick Seatman. Click on that, download the call-in app, and you'll join us. For all of you who tuned in on YouTube and Rumble, thank you so much for making the 49ers Report a part of your day. We're going live exclusively on call.